What makes being live so dangerous?
Never know what's going to come out of your mouth.
Well, I'm not underneath the regulations of the FCC or I'm not dealing with FINRA, so I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Just got deleted from Facebook.
Yes, Facebook tends to do these things from time to time, but you could definitely do booty shots on Facebook now. It's like the secondary to Instagram and TikTok now, so they don't get blocked for that. So, you know,
Oh my God. We've totally gone off topic. Get started.
yes, yes. Welcome back to Boss Uncaged Podcast. So today is the season 3 finale. Season 3, end of the road. Please don't let go. Yep. I'll sing it, girl.
Let me do some more car karaoke.
Car karaoke would be definitely be interesting. So, yep, season 3. I mean, it's first of all, I think it's who the hell thought we was gonna get to season 3 and be in season 4 and kind of look at our database of all the episodes that we need to release as fast as humanly possible. So we're really rolling into season 6, maybe season 7. Hence
Right.
why we're making these seasons a little bit shorter to kind of speed things up. So without further ado, obviously we got Alex Grant on the mic, and it's funny too because I always get these little sidebar messages, these little notes, and these little comments, and oh, when is Alex coming back on the show? We love her voice. We want to hear more of Alex, and I keep trying to tell her this, people. I keep trying to influence her to come on the show, but yet and still I get the middle finger. I get the Doodle Brown look on the face, like So the fact that she's here right now in the season finale, it's a great thing in itself. So the floor is yours, Alex. What are we talking about?
As usual, it takes like multiple weeks of grooming for me to get here and be on camera and him saying, "Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are we doing this today? Are we doing this today?" So, yes, end of the month, July 31st, end of season 3. Um, and we just need to catch up with everything that's happened during season 3, what's been happening, excuse me, in the background, and what is going to be planned for season 4, which I'm really excited about. So,
Mhm.
highlights from season 3. What have we learned since we started Boss Uncage way back in the year of 2020?
Yeah,
I think so.
it's roughly 3 years and some change. It's what is this? This is August? Yeah, it's
Almost
roughly,
three.
yeah, almost 3 years. So we're at 2.5. But yeah, what did we learn? We learned how to systematize a lot of different things for sure. That and monetization, how to monetize some things as well too, and just how to get higher profile guests. So I think like literally we're at the point now where season 1 we were trying to figure out who are we going to call on my Rolodex. Now it's kind of like I don't even reach out to anyone anymore. They just essentially fall into my mailbox now, which is not something to be facetious about. It's we've took a while to get here, and now that we're here, it's definitely beneficial that we don't have to look for people anymore.
This is true. This is true. We like you said, we are definitely kind of booked out to almost season 7 right now, which is, I guess, a great problem to have, but it is a little stressful because we record an episode and you want to like be able to immediately put it out, like, oh, this was a really good episode, and then you look at the schedule and it's like, we'll see that one in 2024, maybe for the most part. But let's talk a little bit about highlights from season 3. You interviewed some awesome people this season, one in particular, David Sellinger,
Mm.
aka the founder bot. And let me caveat here a little bit. Like, I won't say that this movie is Chanel's or Essay's favorite movie. It ranks up there. But the founder with Michael Keaton is on our TV all the time in some form or fashion. So he got an opportunity midway through the season to interview the founder of Redfin, and everyone knows what Redfin is. A lot of us probably have it on our phone, and we dream and we look at houses that, maybe one day if we were to win that $1.2 billion, we'd be able to afford. But talk a bit about your David interview, because we didn't really talk about. We talked about Redfin a little bit, but he has a new venture right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was just cool to interview someone of his caliber. And as I did my due diligence and did a little background check and kind of looking at his bio, he's probably one of the reasons why Amazon is what it is. Because his original job, essentially, he was working directly under Bezos' right hand man, working on the team that developed the algorithm that we all know and love today, that keeps putting shit in front of our faces to make us keep buying more. And while he was there, he had an opportunity to do a a side project and build out Redfin. Like I was like, dude, like how many people are you? Like how the hell you write an algorithm from one company that's a multi-trillion-dollar company, and on the other side you created a whole nother company that you're not even working for anymore that you sold. And I was like, dude, like whole nother level of comprehension. It was just kind of like, oh, this is probably what it's like to be Elon Musk to a certain extent.
Like if we ever got Elon on the show, just to realize the world would stop. Like his head would explode on camera. Just FYI.
Elon, yeah, Elon would be interesting. I mean, it's kind of like, what do we talk about? Do we talk about business or do we talk about sex? I don't know. It's just kind of like, which way do we, which, I mean, both of them are up for grabs, right? So, and with Elon, he doesn't give two shits. So it could be a real conversation.
I think I saw somewhere recently he has like 8 kids now. So yeah, it's a lot.
So he's competing with your boy Nick Cannon. No, no.
I think that was what the post was in comparison. Okay, totally off
Yeah,
topic again. Another great episode, excuse me, that you had this season was with Stormy Andrews, who's an author, co-founder. He was the buyer persona boss. And that was like season 3, episode 30, so more so towards the end. Tell us a little bit about that interview.
funny that you said it was closer towards the end, and I remember that interview was like probably fall of 2021. But Stormy's a great dude, man. Like he lives out of Vegas, and he just like he understands branding on a level of more so like a PhD level, right? And it's not necessarily about the visual part. It's more so about the buyers behind the brand. What are they really wanting to buy? And just hearing like he has this entire outline of step by steps on how to figure out what the persona of your person is, how to then put that content or that marketing strategy in front of them to then have them convert. So just having him like in my Rolodex and having access to him and just that conversation that we had, he kind of just really drilled down the hole, and we talked about a lot of other social issues as well.
That's cool. Really, really, really cool. There's some other things that have been happening in the background while all of these really great episodes have been happening. Let's talk about what's behind you, which I'm
Mm,
excited about because I had a hand in building some of it. But the most important thing that I see up there is Boston Cage is officially trademark.
yes, I
Pew,
think
pew,
that's
pew, 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 pew,
the gold one.
pew.
The gold one right there.
The gold one right there.
Yeah.
Shout out to LaDon Blackett Jones, Westlake High School, Tennessee State University. Sorry, I got to give a shout out
Gotta
for
give a
that.
shout out. And
Great trademark attorney. Please check her out.
I keep putting it out there. It's like it'll be nice to have her on this podcast sooner or later. You know, if you're out there, and I know you are out there, and if you hear this, I'm just saying it'll be a great opportunity to talk to you about trademarks on the show. Just saying, but, you know, I
No
digress.
pressure.
Continue.
No pressure whatsoever. But anyway, you've redone your background,
Mhm.
and you also have some other merch to talk about. Like we have sneakers now and book bags, along with the hats and this t-shirts. I think the t-shirt that you're wearing right now is one of the new colors that we have. So
Yeah,
what's going on in the merch world?
it's just kind of like I randomly come up with it. It's like two different merch situations, right? There's people that 100% market and they deal with their merch as far as a revenue stream, and for me, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's a revenue stream, but I like to wear my own shit. So it's just kind of like it's funny, like when we go shopping, you're like, oh, look at this shirt, and I'm just like, hmm. I don't see room on that for me to put a Boston Cage logo. I don't see room for me to embellish that with anything Boston Cage. So I'm just kind of like, nah, I'm good. I'll
I
just
know it
make
was like
something
this
and order it.
really cute shirt with like Biggie and Brooklyn on it. And I'm like, great. And he was like, it's no room for Boston Cage anywhere on there. I was like, whatever.
I'm branded through and through, and it kind of goes to like I want people to really understand that. Like, if you're going to brand something and market it, right, and until you get to that level that you want to, like, why would you represent anybody else's shit at all if you have access to represent your own brand? And especially if this brand is helping other people, I got to promote it and market it every single way. I mean, literally, I'm at the point to like, how can I get like Boston Cage toothbrushes? How can I get Boston Cage toilet paper? I want everything Boston Cage. Literally, it sounds like I'm on that crack, but the reality is that you have to brand and brand and brand until people get the message.
Yeah, he's pretty boss. Yep. Was there Boston Cage underwear? I don't know.
Not, they can be.
I
It's
didn't
going to be
see.
kind of difficult for me to showcase Boston Cage underwear. You know, I'm not, unless I'm going to wear it as a do rag on my head. I can't walk around with Boston Cage boxers in public meetings and stuff like that. So,
It's true. This is true, but they have it on the store. Okay, but yes, we got some great merchandise out there now. Please go out and check it out. There's some shoes, like I said. There's book bags. There's pens. There's hats. There's I can't even name everything. There's like a whole plethora of different sticker brands, and then the books. The books are always out there. So I'm really excited how the merchandise side of the world is going right now for us. So it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. I think for me, the fun items is probably the book bags and the shoes, just because I grew up in Brooklyn, and I was always thinking about like one day maybe I'll have my own logo on my book bag, and then sure as hell now I have my own book bag that's kind of graffitied out and the shoes to match it. So those are probably like my fun items, because again, when I do graffiti in a black book, it's rare and few in between. So have an opportunity to convert those drawings into merch is definitely a win-win situation.
That
So
is
that's, yeah, yep. So let's check it out. Store.bostoncage.com.
woohoo. So we're gonna go back in time to what do we say 2019, 2020. One of the first episodes that we did, actually the first episode that we did, I asked you a question, and you answered it. So as we were planning for this show and whatnot, so much has changed in the last 2 or 3 years as far as the direction of the show, as far as the direction of you, as a brand and yourself and what you do for your business. So here it is, drum roll. What is SA? Who is SA Grant and what do you do?
I think that's a funny question, because no matter where I go, and it's a gift and a curse, everyone always kind of scratches their head. They know I do a lot of shit, but they can never put their fingers on exactly what I do or even how I do it. But I think it's getting to the point now to where through a podcasting model, it makes it a lot easier for me to kind of tell them what I do. So to answer your question, I would say the general statement would be three words: business, financial freedom, right?
Okay.
And a person can kind of self-define that. What does that really mean? Like, how do SA help me with business financial freedom?
Mhm.
Well, one way definitely, you can tell by what I'm doing with Boss Uncaged. I'm a digital marketer by heart. I love it, right? So understanding what those things are, a lot of people, they kind of juggle it around. They really don't understand what systems are. They don't understand automation. They don't understand podcasting. They don't understand social media. That allows me to kind of step into that space and fill that void. And so that way you can kind of understand these systems and understand how to use them for monetization, right? And those are a lot of extra words, but in reality, on one side I'm a consultant, on the other side I'm an agency, and the two of them come together, and we can help you definitely develop your business financial freedom.
You want to talk a little bit about how you kind of narrowed that down a little bit because as long as I've known you, you've had 5,000 things on your plate all at one time. And, definitely you talked about the stroke a couple of years ago, which kind of helped you laser focus on, what you really want to do. But now it seems like you're niching down even more.
I mean, yeah, because it becomes a difficult task if you're a jack of many trades. And I would say I'm not a jack of all trades. I'm really a jack of digital information. Like
Mhm.
that's my bubble. That's where I run around butt naked, happy, jumping in the pool. That's me. But I think people have different definitions of digital content, right? Some people may look at ebooks as digital content. Some people may look at YouTube videos as digital content. Some people may look at podcasts as digital content. And I have my hands in all of them.
Mhm.
So I'm more of like the big umbrella, kind of like, okay, yes, you want to create a book. Oh, yes, you want to create a podcast. But my next question is like, why?
Yeah.
Why are you wanting to do these things? And how are these things going to help you get to your business financial freedom? And I'll sit there and I'm gonna wait. And if they don't have an answer, then that's your issue, right? You won't have a beginning point and you don't have an end point. So you're gonna have to figure out these connecting points before you can even get to that next level, or even create a podcast, or even write your first book.
This is true. So in that space of kind of niching down a little bit, talk about your new accelerator program.
Yep. So those are the people that have purchased my first books. You kind of see my first books was more general. They
Mhm.
were generally about success, general about business, and to your point about niching down, I decided to, and I probably sitting on 16 books, right? And we've mentioned other books before, and it was just kind of like, when is a good time to release these books, and why am I releasing books? So I'm practicing what I'm preaching. It's like, am I just releasing books to release content,
Yeah.
or am I releasing books based upon what I'm doing and how I can influence people? So because I'm a podcaster and we've gotten the Boston Cage podcast ranked pretty high on a global scale, we have significant amount of downloads. I might as well start going into podcasting as teaching podcasting, because again,
Right.
I would say I'm an educator more than anything else. So in this business financial freedom, again, I'm defining what that looks like in a flexible manner. So the next book is going to be a book about podcasting. The
Mhm.
accelerator is for podcasting, not necessarily for podcasters. is essentially for business owners and entrepreneurs and startup founders that heard about podcasting and they want to leverage podcasting, but they really don't know the behind the scenes of like what we do to systematize Boss Cage to get it to where it is right now. How do
Right.
you get your first 1,000 downloads? How do you get to 10,000 downloads? How do you then convert a podcast into a YouTube channel? How do you then
Yeah.
convert a podcast into a book? How do you get speaking engagements? All these different things fall under the umbrella of becoming business financially free.
True. 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 And it actually falls under the umbrella of your Boss Cage Academy. It sounds like to me. Am I putting that in the right category?
I'm doing my Oogie Boogie Shuffle because that's my favorite aspect of everything that we're working on, right? The podcast is essentially is my lead magnet that again we're giving hella value. We're giving value from all these different entrepreneurs, and as the names get bigger and larger, there's more insight to how these people think to help the person where they are. You may be on step 2, they may be on step 23, 20 something steps in between. How do you get there? So then the academy kind of goes into that, right? So the academy is essentially taking, okay, if I want to start a podcast, if I want to start an ebook, if I want to start a branding agency, all these different elements of who we are, right? And that's our core functionality of what Boston Cage represents. We're taking these and we're making these steps very transparent in this environment to help someone that comes in the beginning to lead them to the next step. So the podcast, you can listen to other people. In the academy, there's videos step by step on how to do what we're talking about on the actual podcast.
That's cool. That's really, really cool. The funny part of what I'm going to talk about next is I feel like in working with Mr. Grant here, I am like the worst assistant that he ever did not want to hire. For the most part. I mean, it's interesting to live in the house with your boss when you should be doing this, but you want to play a video game on your phone. He has a lot of things going on, despite the fact that we're narrowing things down. He has a lot of things going on, and he needs a team of people to help him. And so he has a team of people. Like you have like 15 people now, if that's the number.
15 people in the space of documenting what I do, how I do it, and teaching them how I do it so then they can actually get it done because we're at the point now to where if I was doing everything that Boston Cage is doing, I would be on stroke number 2.
This is true. So that kind of led to the idea of a new service that you have, which is the VA service. For those who don't know what VA means, not Virginia, it is virtual assistant. So what is your new virtual assistant services consist of?
So for the longest, it was like I've loved Cerebral as a brand, Cerebral everything, and anyone that knows me before Boston Cage, like that was me before the merch, right?
Mhm.
So replacing that model with the done for you services per service, it's more so what I'm realizing is that people, yes, they want a website, but they want that website to do something, or they want continuous marketing, or they want a podcast, but they want to then put that podcast into a funnel. A lot of times they'll come to you and say, hey, I need this one thing, and then you'll
Mhm.
find that they need 20 other things, but they're only hiring you for the one thing, and when that project is said and done, then it's done, and then you're going to have to upsell and resell, and I'm just like, you know what, enough of that. Like, if you want to be visionary like Boston Cage, and you want to put these puzzle pieces together, then ideally you're looking at more of an hourly service per week, per month, because again, you're not talking about one project. You're talking
Right.
about multiple different projects over the course of 6 months or 12 months or 9 months. And there's only one way to get there. You have to have somebody that has done it, first of all, and someone that understands the steps and procedures. Hence why I've changed that business model from a done for you service to more of a VA service. That way we can kind of help you hold your hands, and my team can get it done because they've done it for us.
Right. They've even filled in for me. FYI, sometimes when he's on the edge of firing me for being his best and worst assistant. So switching gears a little bit, you have a very busy Q3 and Q4 speaking season getting ready to come up. I don't know if you all remember from last year, SA was a part of the Success Champion Network, is it the Badass Summit? So he'll be back there again in September. I think it's the fourth week in September. Yes, I'm remembering that now.
20 week of the 24th. Yep.
In addition to some other opportunities that you have at digital summits in both Detroit and Indy, and you have submitted yourself to be a part of Podfest Masterclass. What's up with all of these speaking engagements?
Again, I'm trying to leverage out what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. So the first half of the year, I was essentially building up more of the VA model, kind of going to our accelerator program, which we could talk about a little bit more. But having these things systematized on the back end before I got to the front end, because again, when you're talking in front of stage, you're going to have an opportunity for people to opt in your list or sell from stage.
Right.
Well, again, I need to have the infrastructure to monetize to then send someone to something. So I had to make sure I got that squared away. That's one of the mistakes that I made first of all with Cerebral. I was trying to do everything at the same time. So imagine me speaking on 20 stages at the same time and trying to build funnels and trying to delegate to 15 different VAs and build that team and build that squad. The hell with that. So going into quarter three and quarter four is probably the ideal time for me, at least until the next year or so, to where that's where I'm going to do most of my speaking engagement. So we're talking about success champions, and
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be a little bit different than last year. Last year it was kind of like a keynote thing. This year is going to be more so like a mastermind, right? I think it's longer too. I think it's going to be 75 to 90 minutes where I'm going to sit down and I'm going to engage. The topic I'm talking about is branding, but when somebody leaves that room, they're going to have key terminology for their brand. They're going to have value propositions, mission statements. We're going to talk about the visuals, but what words are supporting your visuals to get your brand in front of people? And again, I'm going to go from it from a Boston Cage standpoint. Like, how did we get Boston Cage to where it is? If you think SA, you think Boston Cage, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
one and the same. How do you do that for you and your brand?
Exactly. So you're talking about Brennan. Did we ever put out any content related to last year's at all?
I think we put a couple clips of me doing a little oogie boogie on the
Yeah,
stage.
Oogie Boogie dance. Will there be a
Yeah.
dance this year?
I don't know. I can't do the same thing I did last year, right? So as a brander, I have to kind of stay in queue, but I have to outdo myself. So I don't know. I don't.
I
There's
don't know.
no telling,
You could
right?
be a TikToker, like our people, like our
Oh,
children.
TikTok. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's no telling. I don't know. I may do a handstand. I don't know. I'll figure it out before September comes. But I have to leave a long-lasting memory so that way people could capture that information that I'm delivering, and they'll always put that visual with it from now until.
This is true. That everybody still talks about your dance, your Oogie Boogie moment.
You got to do it. And I think Donnie refers to it as me dry humping the air. He was saying I was having sex with the audience, and I was like,
Oh,
that's one way to look at it. I mean, hopefully
thanks,
no one
Donnie.
got pregnant in that process, but
No, we don't need no more kids. We're almost done. Digital Summit in Detroit and Indy. What are you going to be talking about there?
So that is 100% podcasting, right? So that came from like a referral from a referral, right? It was kind of like that's the beautiful part about podcasting and networking when you communicate with people and then they were like, oh, you should meet this person. And then I met this person and we're having a conversation. It was like, yeah, I talk on Digital Summit. And I was like, really? I was like, what's that like? And then they was like, oh, here, well, let me connect you to the person. And it was like, next thing you know, I had 2 gigs on Digital Summit, and I'm talking 100% about podcasting and understanding like the nuances behind marketing strategies for podcasting and how do we get to where we are right now, where we don't have to look for new people. People are coming to us. Like, how do you get to that level?
Right. And the Podfest Masterclass, what is that going to be about? I mean, assuming it's about podcasting, but a little bit more detail.
Yeah, so with that one, it kind of goes back to like my roots. I think it was like year one when I first became a podcaster, and I'm kind of going back, kind of like you feel like a comedian on stage, like when Chris Rock was talking about going back to his first stage that he ever communicated with. He kind of goes back from time to time. So Podfest was essentially like my first like speaking engagement inside the podcasting world. So
Mhm.
definitely went from there, got some more experience outside of that environment. And I was like, well, everything that I've learned, I got to bring it back to give back to the community because they gave so much to me. I want to give back to them.
Definitely. That's cool. Well, please keep your eye on his social medias because I'm pretty sure there's going to be announcements coming out as we get closer to those dates. I think Success Champions the end of September. Digital Summit in Detroit and Indy is in October.
Yeah, so Detroit and Indy are both in October. They're like the second and fourth week of October.
Cool. And when do we find out about the Podfest Masterclass?
I think they're doing reviews right now too. So like if you are listening, Podfest Masterclassers, and particularly I'm not gonna have to name names, but
Yeah,
I
no
know who you
names.
are. I know who you are. So I'm just saying it would be a good opportunity for me to kind of bring back and bring the roots back and kind of express what I've learned in the past couple of years.
No pressure whatsoever. No pressure at all. So going back a little bit or taking a step back, as far as your accelerator program, the Boston Cage Academy, where can we start to look for that?
So the Boston Cage Academy is it's I would say more so at this point, it's probably invite only.
Okay.
We did a general opening up before, and you could definitely just drop me a quick email if you're interested in that. Info@bostoncage.com. The academy, I think, is the low hanging fruit. I have it to a reasonable amount, so it's well under $50 per month, and with that, you'll get access to something that we're working on behind the scenes, is like a new group. Obviously, Facebook is great, but algorithms kind of get on my nerves when they kind of you have 100, 200 people and only two people get to see your information without you doing ad spend in a group that you already created. So that's mind-boggling to me. So we're creating an offline group, and with that, you'll have access to our additional members. And I think Donnie had brought this up when he did the interview with me last week about all the different groups that I have, right?
Yeah.
So all these groups are going to be compiled into this one environment. So you'll be able to kind of talk from food to books to podcasting, all in the Boston Cage ecosystem. And the Accelerator Program, that's another thing that we just recently did. We brought on a sales team. So
Yep.
that is more so for the business owner, not necessarily entrepreneur, unless they have a particular staff of individuals and they want to create a podcast that's more of an internal podcast versus an external podcast. And I think people are kind of like, well, what's the difference between the two? Well,
Yeah.
think of it from the point of Steve Jobs. Imagine if Steve Jobs had an internal podcast that he would record with his team. He would probably get interviewed by directors. He would
Yeah.
probably interview people on his team, interview his design team, definitely have the insight and information about the things that he wanted to create and where he seen Apple going down the road. But he never did that. So now that he's dead and gone, where is that insight, that information, besides like the keynotes that he's done?
Yeah.
Internally, he could be more expressive and it's not going to necessarily be released to the public. It'll be an internal archive for a company where they are and where they're going down the road.
Yeah, Trader Joe's has actually a really good podcast that I'll listen to every once in a while. And I looked at implementing one at my company as well. So they're a great lead magnet. They're a great way to just spotlight, your teams and your staff and what the company is doing and what people are doing within the company. And the more exposure that it gets on whatever social media channels just brings more eyes towards your company. So like I said, I had never thought I would want to listen to the Trader Joe's podcast, but it's actually really funny. So
Yep, and there's two sides to that coin, right? It could be an external or internal, right? You could start off internally and then you can go back in and take 15-minute, 5-minute clips and then make that external. So you can kind of do pre-filtering, but the goal is here is more so the inclusiveness of your team. They can have a verbal outlet, and then somebody new could come in, could also embrace the like, not to say the religion, but like the philosophy of that company through the people that founded that company over the years.
that's really cool. Really cool. Now I'm excited. Ooh, see, I got my little doggy. I guess he's right here on my screen. That's my picture of Seven. Seven's sitting over here into the corner, so I had to get him on the screen. So he's right there. Season 4 starts Tuesday. Pew, 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 pew. Fireworks, fireworks, exciting. What can we expect for season 4? Any big changes?
Huh. Let me think. Well, we've been talking offline, and we've mentioned it a couple of the seasons here and there. And I think season 2, I probably did way more of these than season 3. Was just kind of like the boss Q&As, like these questions of like things that I think people should know. And I think one of those episodes that I talked about was essentially about how to get to 10,000
Yeah.
downloads as a podcaster.
Mhm.
So I think with opening it up more to the audience to say, hey, what kind of things do you want SA to answer for you live?
Right. Yeah, it'll be really cool. Like bonus episode Q&A. Yeah, I remember that episode 21 tips to help you get to 10,000 downloads. It was back in February or so. So check that out if you haven't. But yeah, keep your eyes on social media. We'll be putting some things out in order for you to be able to submit your questions via audio or video if you're feeling fancy. And if we select your question to be recorded and put onto the show, we'll send you some swag. So keep your eye out. Want to put your questions out there, SA will answer them, and then you get some swag. So that's pretty cool. What about your YouTube channel? What's going on with that this year?
So I think year one there was no YouTube, and I started recording video back in year one, which is kind of funny because now those videos are coming into play with the whole YouTube channel thing. So right now, systematically, we have YouTube videos that are being posted probably 4 to 5 times per week,
Mhm.
and they're from season one and season two, like taking those clips of those videos when I started recording them. So like now I'm really starting to focus on the YouTube algorithm, focusing, and it's funny too because our downloads have shifted, right? So potentially we had way more downloads as far as podcasts. We're still there, but now we're starting to see more podcasts being downloaded on the actual YouTube lives.
Mm.
So like it's kind of like a juggling act. It's kind of like, okay, if you're a YouTube person, you want more video, you can see it here. If you're more a person that likes to listen in your car, then you can listen here. So figuring out the equilibrium between both of them. Right now, I'm thinking about shifting a little bit more attention to YouTube for the longevity of all the content we've been creating since season one.
It's true. It's true. It's a great place to kind of leave your legacy. It's one of the things that you want to do. You can always go out there and watch your videos. So let's talk a little bit about what we do and what we love are the guests that are going to be coming up in season 4, which I am really excited about. One of them is one of your friends who I've met a couple times now, Danielle Hall from Sound Embrace. What is kind of recap that episode? What was it about?
It was funny because I was trying to get Danielle on the show for like forever, but both of our schedules are always crazy. I never know what state she's in or where she's at. But just kind of having her story be documented, I think it was something that I wanted to definitely give back to her because I know her since she was a photographer in school. Then she became a voiceover artist, became like a singer, and then she found that through these different audio devices that sound healing, sound therapy became like her thing. That became like her golden nugget. So I wanted to talk like some people don't even know what the hell sound therapy is,
Right.
but she's gotten it to the point to where she's educating people and she has her own academy to where she's pretty much certifying people to become sound therapists.
Yeah, it's really cool. Check out Sound Embrace. I went to a session, or we went to a session maybe a year ago now or so.
Yeah.
I was a little apprehensive about the experience, but it was once you get into it and you allow yourself to like really relax and be absorbed in the environment, it's very zen. I left very relaxed for the most part.
It makes
Another,
sense. It's all
yeah,
about frequencies, right? We're talking
yeah.
about audio, we're talking about podcasting, and it's just funny that we found our own niches in the opposite end of the same spectrum.
That is funny. Another episode that I'm really excited about because, I like love and love is love and
Mhm.
relationships and stuff. You're going to talk to Lily Walford. She's an international relationship and dating coach. She is lovewithintelligence.com. That was a really cool episode because she's based out of like the UK or something, right?
Yeah, she's based out of UK, and it's kind of like if you want to kind of talk about our backstory, like how we met. I mean, I was using algorithms and systems in place, and using online dating. She kind of takes that to another level. I mean, she does like an integration with AI, artificial intelligence, to figure out if you and your particular person that you're looking at is a good combination or going to be a good match by doing all these different Q&A questions and then running them through a system to give you a grade to see if you're going to be compatible or not.
Saying trust the algorithm. If it works, it worked for us total opposites, but it works very well.
Yeah, it works well with relationships, but sometimes algorithms can, you just want to choke hold an algorithm that wants you to just pay for everything when reality is, I'm not even going to go there. Keep moving.
Algorithms are your friend, or you'll be on the bottom of the list.
Yeah, they
Exactly.
are. They are, but they're not at the same time.
I'm done. Another episode that I'm excited about in this upcoming season. And forgive me, I have to look down at this individual's name because I actually have to say their last name. Like when we were talking about it, he was just like, say Robin. And I was like, no, Robin Copernicus. And I'm pretty sure I probably butchered it anyway. But what did you and Robin talk about?
Oh man, it's so funny because I mean he's an investor more so in the digital space, but over from the time we recorded the episode until now, I think him and I have become like fast Facebook friends to where like we crack jokes all the time. He posts some crazy stuff, and I always respond back with something equally crazy, if not crazier. But he's more so in the space of creating SaaS-based platforms for NFT. And if you ever heard me talk about NFT, if you ever listened to the episode where we did like the live NFT kind of Q&A, I think he's in a good niche per se because he's not only raising capital and raising funding, but he is taking what he's doing and he's converting that into the digital space, into the meta space, and he's even creating tools and assets for other creators to develop and release their NFTs.
That's pretty cool. It's so funny we were talking about meta, and this is a total ADD moment, but you just got some new gear that you haven't done an unboxing for. And I am like waiting for your unboxing because there's like kids that are doing unboxings, and they're like making $22 million a year. So yes, shout out to Amazon Prime Day and the algorithm and his wife who's obsessed with shopping on Amazon. Facebook portals, really cool.
Yeah, so obviously you've unwrapped yours
Oh
and
yeah, I
you
use mine
hooked
all the
yours
time.
up. And like I get messages from Jen Pisano all the time, who was on the show this season as well. And she was just like, "Oh my God, thank Alex for it. I didn't even know it." And she was like, "I can't live without it." It's like the best thing since sliced bread. So I'm definitely gonna do an unboxing eventually. It's kind of like, how do I put this with all my other cameras and all this other shit I got going on in his office? But if you have not seen the Facebook portals, it's definitely an interesting device. I think more so
Yes,
because the lens follows you.
it's
That's like the
so
real
cool.
thing.
It zooms in and just like I do all my work Zoom calls on it now. And not only does it kind of touch you up and it makes you sound really great, if I could lean over to the side, the camera will follow me that way. And I lean this way and I go in and it zooms out and it zooms in. So I really like that feature. I mean, it has a lot of other great apps and whatnot on it, but I use it primarily for Zoom, and it just allows me to have my Zoom here and still have my screens and be able to work. But with your setup, you're probably going to set the house on fire if you hook that in. So
Yeah, I'm
we'll see.
trying to figure out. But probably definitely gonna have to do a Harry Potter because it has a whole Harry Potter skin schemes and schematics, and it's like 12 to 15 different Harry Potter backgrounds and characters, and yeah. So don't be surprised if you see me popping up here. But Harry Potter should not go back to Hogwarts this year.
I'm done with you. And I think we're kind of done with everything that we're talking about for this closeout of season 3 of Boss and Cage podcast. I mean, yes, we only talked about a couple of the episodes,
Mhm.
but please go back and listen to the whole season. Not telling you it's really long, but there's some really great nuggets out there that we should check out. And then also for season 4, I'm excited about season 4. A lot of it's already built out. Like I said, we're going to talk to a relationship coach, which is, girl of my world type of thing. I know you're so excited about that. Danielle, who's a close friend, finally was able to get her on this year. And then Robin, hold on, Copernicus. I'm saying that right.
And I think one other thing that we should talk about before we close out is like end of season 3. We did something that again you're the executive producer. She was like, "I think you should do rerun episodes,"
Ah,
which
yeah.
took forever for me to process the whole rerun thing, considering we have 200 episodes we have not released yet. So, and I had to literally go back in and listen to dozens of episodes to kind of select the ones that I selected.
It's
So,
like picking your favorite child. Like I made him, of his 200 children, pick his favorite 3. You know how hard that was? And it wasn't even a favorite 3. It was more of like, what are the ones that were most impactful from the previous seasons, that you want the listeners to hear again? Like so hard. I thought he was going to be like boom, 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 and then we would knock it out. It'd be pre-set up every week. We were having a conversation. So who's going to be your rerun? Who's going to be your rerun?
I,
But we had Greg Caesar and Jacqueline Wells. And
yeah, and then we also had Barat too. So it was just like for all shits and giggles. I mean, at the point right now, like we're going into season 4, and every season just keeps getting longer and longer. So we're at total episodes 130. We've recorded well over 300 episodes. So this rerun thing is becoming harder and harder and harder for me to even process and comprehend. It's going to have to be user data now. It's going to have to be, oh well, this is the most downloaded episode, and I'm just going to have to do it that way because picking episodes
so hard.
sucks. I hate it. I hate it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I'm not hating the content. I'm hating the fact that I have to select the content to rerun the content and then process the information. So yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. Just like, I need an episode. I need an episode this week. Tell me who you want to go. So yes, if we do reruns again at the end of season 4, more than likely we will. I'm just going to put 3 episodes or 4 episodes in front of him and say, this is it. Don't ask any questions.
I got a better idea. If you just submit enough questions, I have no problem recording enough answers, and these answers will outweigh the reruns.
This is true. Look forward to a lot more bonus Q&A for, was it Boss Up Q&A, with the questions coming in, because I mean it goes back to what SA is known for, education. We have the Boss Uncaged Academy, we have the Accelerator Program, and he's always getting questions from all over the place. I'll generalize it and say all over the place. And we're just kind of talking to say, how about we start putting some of those answers as a part of the show, in between our regular episodes that come out on Tuesday. We were doing the bonus episodes on Thursdays. Okay. let's start putting some of those questions out there because maybe someone else has the same question, or maybe you get asked something that you've never even been asked before and it just sends you down a total new direction of something to research. So I'm excited about the new boss up Q&As.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, they because I've asked that question on some of like my groups and some of my networking environments, and pound for pound, the response that I've got collectively would be an extra episode where it's just me essentially and throwing up the information from my head based upon an answer to a question.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I just need more questions because I could come up with questions, but in my head, like sometimes the world is blurred. So I would rather you submit your questions versus me just going on, and then you're looking at me like I'm completely crazy, like I'm unmedicated.
Like I said, if we select your question, you get some sweet swag. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an executive producer decision about the
It
whole
was.
swag
I
thing.
was like, we're doing swag. We're sending swag out.
Yeah, like I keep saying, I mean, store.bossoncage.com is ironically funny because I have, I don't know, like 500 different products in there, but I don't really market it. And obviously, I guess this episode is really me talking about it for the first time.
Yeah.
But again, if you want a Boston Cage t-shirt, Boston Cage hats, sneakers, bags, again, I keep creating random stuff and I just put them up there and I'll order it for myself and I'll walk around in the real world with it like I'm coming out of the Matrix and I don't share. And unfortunately, I'm sharing with everyone.
That works. You have anything to close us out with on our end of the season 3, beginning of season 4 Boss Uncaged podcast?
I mean, first and foremost, I just want to thank all the listeners that listen to the show pretty regularly, and the ones that kind of follow up with these random text messages or these random chat messages, just asking me about a particular question or a particular episode, or wanting me to connect them to someone that I've interviewed.
Mhm.
Like that's why I'm doing it. I'm not just doing it for the legacy. I'm doing it to help influence other people and also give people a leg up. And again, making these 6 degrees of separations and connections. If I become that person that you contact, hey, SA, I need to contact John. Like that's
Mhm.
what it's really about. And then obviously the monetization behind the scenes is going to be the academy, is going to be the general services to help you grow your business. If I am not helping you grow your business, then you and I are completely wasting our times. Hence why, if I had to define myself, I'm going to say that I'm a business financial freedom. I'm going to say coach, but I hate
Business
the word
financial
coach.
freedom.
Freedomer.
I
Er,
don't know if that's grammatically correct.
er, er, er.
Where's Jessica? Jessica, don't correct my grammar right now.
Put his E in there. Freezer. Something.
Just making up words.
Yeah, that's how you should do it. I mean, if you're a creative writer, they'll figure it out.
Well, as always, this has been a pleasure that you've had to force me to do for. So you have 6 months now, maybe roughly or so, before we have to record again. So if you start working on it now, I'll be ready in 6 months.
You see, I'm
Okay.
gonna put this out there to let I always let the people decide. Now, would you not rather her become the co-host of Boss Uncaged? Could you imagine, like, our Thursday episodes? So our Tuesday episodes is just me interviewing someone, and our Thursday episodes could be her and I discussing topics because you have business as well. I mean, you're a fucking treasurer. Like you know numbers. Like you think I'm a numbers person? You have no idea who I live with. No idea.
He wants me to get fired twice. Like I'm already often get fired from being executive producer. Now you want me to be fired from that and being a host at the same time? I think we're okay. I'll stay in my lane.
You know, I'll be a smart ass. I'll make a cutout and be like, well, this is substituting for her on this particular episode on Thursday. This is what she's going to say if she was here.
Exactly. All right. Well, this has been fun. Like I said, as usual, I will do better about coming back on a little bit more often. I didn't die. I didn't die. No one died. So I think I'm good.
You do know that everyone is seeing this live and you rolled your eyes a couple of times right before you said that. I'm just saying. This has been documented. Okay? All right. So I appreciate everyone for listening to the Boss and Cage podcast, season 3. We are closing it out, getting ready to start season 4 in I don't know, 48 hours or something.
Yes, 48 hours. I got a lot of work to do.
Yes, yes, yes. But like she said before, we have people behind the scenes that are making her job 10 times easier nowadays. So again,
Yes.
I appreciate you guys. I can't wait to see these questions when they come in. SA Grant, over and out. With your little wave, little wave, little wave. I think I'm still streaming you live. You can wave
Yeah.
again. Just wave.